You know what? Can we do can we do the Kristi Noem story? Because it's just so it feels like something someone would make for the show Veep, which is like it feels like something that's straight out of just political humor, like Comedy Central, some SNL skit, something that you wouldn't expect a politician to come out and say outside of something you would maybe expect in like the Will Ferrell movie. I think there was a movie where Will Ferrell ran for president. Like I think that's where I would expect to hear this, not in a legitimate political context from somebody trying to seriously angle to be Trump's VP candidate, who might have legitimately destroyed their chances of being within proximity to the most powerful position in the world. And let's be clear, if Trump becomes president again, Trump will be becoming president with a lot of chronic health issues while very old. Now, vice presidents don't have a lot of power. They do have some institutional power when it comes to overseeing, overseeing the legislature, and they can, it's what you make of the job, as Dick Cheney discovered. But when you've got an older person, especially somebody with health issues, the position of vice president all of a sudden becomes quite important. And so while I would say that, of course, it's still VP and the odds of her actually becoming president would still be low, mind you, it wouldn't be impossible. And so what we're talking about for Kristi Noem as I believe it's the North Dakota governor, or is what is her I'm sorry that I can't remember Kristi Noem's state. I guess North Dakota. What was I right? South Dakota. South Dakota. No, there was 2 Dakotas. And I messed it up. There's only 2 Dakotas. I had a 50-50 chance of getting it right, and I messed it up. Apparently, Kristi Noem came out and admitted to shooting her dog. I'm not kidding. This is not a joke. She came out. She admitted to shooting her dog. She gave details about it. She gave details as to why she felt she had to shoot the dog. And the reason is that the dog was not a good hunting dog. That it, in her words, could not be properly trained, so she decided to shoot it. Now, I would say that if something does a bad job, or any living thing, like a human or a dog, doesn't do a good job at what it was meant to do, you can always just give the dog away. Like, oh, this cow isn't great for, this oxen isn't great for plowing this field. I guess we just have to shoot it. And I don't know why that's the immediate next conclusion, especially when we're talking about a dog. I mean, dogs evolved with us. Dogs are man's best friend. They're our companion. Now, look, I would hold this true probably about all animals generally. I would probably hold this true about cows and horses and other animals as well. And I think it may be because I'm a long-haired hippie. But dogs are the least morally complicated example of these animals, because we're all supposed to like dogs. Because they're man's best friends. We've been socialized like dogs. They've been given the personification that many other animals that we don't care about as much when they die, they got that personification. And she should know that if she's in politics. And she's just out here admitting to shooting the dog. But let me be clear, this isn't where the scandal ends. It gets worse somehow, because this is all coming out from her book that she's releasing, and that was almost certainly written by a ghostwriter, because she keeps redacting stuff after it was released. But let's read a little bit into this and see how it got even worse when she got confronted about her dog shooting and her other claims that she made in the book on national television. But let's read a little bit about her dog doming. A South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem's gruesome recounting of how she killed her dog may have also killed something else, her hopes to be Donald Trump's running mate. In Trump's orbit, Noem's decision to disclose in her forthcoming memoir that she once shot and killed a family dog is being seen as pure political self-immolation, part of a series of lapses in judgment, and a sign of desperation that President Trump especially doesn't like, according to an over half dozen GOP sources who spoke to the Daily Beast on the condition of anonymity. Everyone around Trump is talking about this, said a MAGA operative. Haven't seen a more public suicide than Jim Jones at Jonestown, another Trump world source told the Daily Beast. For years, Noem has been a rising star in Republican politics thanks to her combative, unabashedly MAGA image. She routinely appears in news reports as one of Trump's top contenders for the upcoming vice presidential slot. At this point, though, even Republicans may agree that by deeply offending a bipartisan constituency, pet lovers, Noem isn't just politically incorrect, but politically incompetent. In a startling revelation from her new memoir, No Going Back, set to be published next month, Noem details the shocking end of her 14-month-old wire-hairer partner, Cricket. Noem recounts she killed the dog, who lived on the family's farm in South Dakota because of its aggressive personality and lack of hunting skills. She also writes that Cricket escaped her truck and attacked a group of chickens, grabbing one chicken at a time, crunching it to death with one bite, then dropping it to attack another. This was the final straw. I hated that dog, Noem writes, adding that Cricket was simply untrainable, worthless as a hunting dog, and dangerous to anyone she came in contact with. It was then, she said, she realized I had to put her down. But Noem did the dirty work herself, leading Cricket to a gravel pit and then shooting the dog. The graphic and shocking excerpt has been poorly received by many, including those in Trump world, and it may have sunk whatever hopes she may have had to be Trump's running mate. The Trump world source added that Noem had a very little slight shot before of being Trump's running mate, but that it's less than zero now. A vice president is chosen to solve problems and add real value. A proven gaffe machine does neither. Definitely for another gaffe machine. Operatives around Trump are fixated on the ads that would run if she were anywhere involved with President Trump's campaign regarding the dog. I mean, this stuff is devastating. There's nothing more popular in politics than dogs, and she killed one, and she continues to talk about it. That's what's baffling and what shows out of control judgment. So, I don't want to read all the MAGA people that are talking about this. Safe to say, Democrats thinks that her saying this was stupid. She probably, deep down inside of her soul, thinks what she said was stupid. And the Republicans thinks what she said is stupid. But more importantly, the MAGA Republicans, Trump's Republicans, think what she said is stupid. Now, I don't think I need to get into the morality of why she probably should have just given the dog up for adoption, or given it up to the pound, or given somebody else an opportunity to train the dog. I mean, a dog going after some chickens seems like something that's kind of, you know, if you have a hunting dog, or you want to get a dog for hunting, and then they start killing animals like chickens, I mean, that's not that surprising to me. But I don't want to get into the morality of it, because I feel that it's pretty clear cut. I just want to get into the decision-making aspect of this. You shoot the dog, you think it's for good farm reasons. What was the purpose in sharing this in the book? Was this supposed to add, like, weight to her? Was this supposed to show that she can, like, make hard decisions? Or that she can be, like, a mean, cold, calculated bastard? Like, what was the political signaling this was supposed to give off? Because, like, I've gotten into, like, fights before when I was, like, in high school. But, like, if I was to, like, recall a fight I got into high school over, like, I don't know, a Hershey bar, and I was to put that in a political memoir, what's the signal what am I sending out there? Like, oh, what, like, there would have to be some purpose. Am I trying to show that I'm unpredictable? What is her purpose? What would be her purpose? It just seems like she's revealing unbelievably embarrassing information, gross information, honestly, and just shooting herself in the foot for no apparent reason. Did she really think that this was gonna like win over Trump world? That like conservatism is just measured by how cruel you could be, and so this is like she just turned it up to 100. The more cruel you are, the more of a crotchety old man drinking only black coffee in the tears of children. The more you act like that, the more votes you're gonna get. I don't know, maybe this worked better in like if this was a Amish election, you know. But this isn't. This is an American election for the public office of Vice President of the United States, and you're gonna have to help Trump of all people get over the finish line. By being crazier or more deluded than Trump, you are not making the good case to be Trump's VP. You're not. So this is the first thing. This was her first big mess up is, hey guys, I like to shoot dogs. But it didn't end there. Quickly though, I want to show you an intro into the next segment, which is this interview. And I have a clip I want to show you, but they do bring this up during the interview. And I want to focus on the second clip in a moment. But they do bring up the dog shooting in this interview. And I wanted to show you it because she straight up wants to shoot more dogs. She goes on TV and starts answering for passages in her books where she starts calling for other dogs to get shot like crickets, specifically the dogs of her political opponents. She just went full, she went feral. She went feral. Maybe she caught like rabies from the dog and she's just completely out of it. I don't know what's going on, but she's just talking about killing dogs now. That's her political shtick, and she's the dog murderer. Check this out.
On this point, though, because you have been rumored to be a potential vice presidential candidate, as you know, and former House Speaker Newt Gingrich said killing the dog and then writing about it ended any possibility of her being picked as VP. You talk multiple times about it. In fact, at the end of the book, you say the very first thing you would do if you got to the White House that was different from Joe Biden is you'd make sure Joe Biden's dog was nowhere on the grounds. Commander, say hello to Cricket. Are you doing this to try to look tough?
To be clear, Cricket was the name of the dog she killed. And Commander is President Biden's dog. She just said she wants to kill Biden's dog. What kind of level of deluded hatred of somebody do you have to want to go and kill their dog? Not even like, if she would have said, let's go put down Biden, that'd be crazy enough. But like, what did his dog do? So the thing is with Biden's dog Commander is that Biden's dog Commander liked to roughhouse, and so he'd like bite Secret Service agents. But I haven't seen anything suggesting that it was like like he tore off somebody's arm or something. But the majority of them were like, snippets, like, you guys have been like play bit by a dog before. Maybe it pierces your skin a little bit, causes a little bit of blood. That's what I have been led to believe that it was, right? Now, if that happens enough times, eventually you pull the dog back. But look how little she's willing to kill a dog over. Bad hunting dog, execution. Oh, you're nipping some people, execution. Not okay. Mind you, Commander's not even on the White House grounds anymore. The dog has been taken off the White House grounds and have been taken back to Biden's property. So it isn't biting Secret Service agents anymore. It's off the grounds of the White House. She's just calling for this dog to be drawn and quartered because it's Joe Biden's dog. What, she killed a dog and now she's making it a stick of, I'm going to kill the dogs of my opponents. That's her stick. In wrestling, there's such a thing as a bad gimmick. And a gimmick is like you're like, I'm the tax collector. I'm going to beat you up to collect your taxes, Mr. IRS. Oh, I'm the garbage man. I grab garbage and I throw it all around the ring. Is her gimmick just I'm the dog killer for real? Now, this is bad enough. Her chances of being VP are gone. I don't know how you guys are predicting like what like Trump's pick for VP is going to be. It's not going to be Kristi Noem. It's not going to be Kristi Noem because Trump probably doesn't want it, and every single person around Trump with a centimeter, an inch, an ounce, whatever you want to measure it by, of political sense, none of them are going to tell Trump to hire the dog murder lady. But she decided to make the situation even worse. Drinking McBeer, thank you so much for the primer, and great name, by the way. She decided to make the situation worse. I'm sorry. Let me let her answer to this first. Let me let her answer to this first before I transition, because I should allow her to respond to all the dog murder.
Very first thing you would do if you got to the White House that was different from Joe Biden is you'd make sure Joe Biden's dog was nowhere on the grounds. Commander, say hello to Cricket. Are you doing this to try to look tough? Do you still think that you have a shot at being a VP?
Well, number one, Joe Biden's dog has attacked 24 Secret Service people. So how many people is enough people to be attacked and dangerously hurt?
She's on TV still arguing that they should kill Biden's dog. She can't stop herself. She can't. She just sees a little fur ball and her eyes turn red and they roll back. She starts foaming at the mouth. She starts getting cravens. What's going on? Why is she tripling down on dog murder?
Before you make a decision on a dog and what to do with it.
Well, he's not living at the White House
That's
anymore.
a question that the president should be held accountable to.
You're saying he should be shot?
That's what the president should be accountable to, is what is the number? And I would say about...
She's treating this seriously. Like, the dog didn't kill any Secret Service member. They nipped some Secret Service members. They're like, oh, let's bring this dog off the grounds. And then that was that. You know what would have been the end if she didn't execute the hunting dog? Oh, it's a bad hunting dog. Let's bring it to, you know, a donation place. Let's go donate the dog. Hell, she could have even done it. She could have even brought it to a kill shelter and then removed the personal, like her being the one to do it. And that in and of itself probably would have been enough to save her political skin. But because she wanted to put the muzzle to the dog's head herself, and she's just so set on taking as many dogs with her as she leaves this earth, she just can't help herself.
What the president should be accountable to is what is the number? And I would say about Republicans criticizing me, these are the same Republicans vision on a dog and what to do with it.
Well, he's not living at the White House
That's
anymore.
a question that the president should be held accountable to.
You're saying he should be shot?
That's what the president should be accountable to is what is...
What a question from a reporter. Are you saying that the president's dog should be shot, Miss Noem, Miss Potential Vice President?
The number. And I would say about Republicans criticizing me, these are the same Republicans that criticized me during COVID. They've criticized me when I've made other decisions in South Dakota to protect my state. And my state today is extremely happy.
Could you imagine if we did this with another animal? Imagine if I was on stream. I was like, yeah, you know, my cat, I got my cat. It was to kill the mice. And then the cat looked at the mice and it just tilted its head and it went meow. And it didn't want to fight the mice, and it just wanted to play with its toys. And so I took it, and I put it under the bathtub, and I just held it until the bubbles stopped coming up. Like any other pet, I feel like this would be immediately seen as demented. But maybe in her mind, and I think most people see it as demented here, in this case too, mind you, but maybe in her mind, since it was a farm animal, technically, like you could treat it the same way that you treat a cow to the public, because maybe that's how she saw it, but that's not how the public sees it.
Happy and thriving. We're doing well. We've got thousands of people moving to our state because they love the opportunities that are here and the businesses that have come, and how we've gotten to be a state that has one of the lowest unemployment rates in the nation. Everybody has an opportunity for higher wages.
Unless you're a dog. Unless you're a dog. Anyway, it doesn't end here. So in this book that she wrote or had somebody ghostwrite, she also made a lot of claims about her career, some of which are just completely made up. For example, that in her position, she met North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. Listen to this. And listen to her avoiding the question about whether she met Kim Jong-un or not, while also trying to take responsibility for making the adaptation in her book to take that passage out. So she's correcting the record. But she wants to both not deny, she wants to still claim it by not denying that she met with Kim Jong-un, by continuing to like not answer the question. So she wants to continue to claim the meeting with Kim Jong-un while also claiming the W on being willing to like admit where she was wrong and change the book. It really is bad. Really just a bad excuse. Listen to this.
Talk about meeting some world leaders, and one specific one. Quote, I remember when I met with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, I'm sure he underestimated me, having no clue about my experience staring down little tyrants. I've been a children's pastor after all.
Thank God Kim Jong-un doesn't have a pet dog. She would have read like a one-page essay about the different ways she'd skin and eaten alive.
Did you meet Kim Jong-un?
Well, you know, as soon as this was brought to my attention, I certainly made some changes and looked at this passage. And I've met with many, many world leaders. I've traveled around the world. As soon as it was brought to my attention, we went forward and have made some edits. So I'm glad that this book is being released in a couple of days, and that those edits will be in place, and that people will have the updated version.
So you did not meet with Kim Jong-un. That's what you're saying.
You know, I've met with many, many world leaders. I've traveled around the world. I think I've talked extensively in this book about my time serving in Congress, my time as governor, before governor, some of the travels that I've had. I'm not going to talk about my specific meetings with world leaders. I'm just not going to do that. This anecdote shouldn't have been in the book, and as soon as it was brought to my attention, I made sure that that was adjusted. So
this is she just wants to eat her cake and have it. She wants to both claim the Kim Jong-un meeting, have it in her book, but then when confronted on it, because it's probably not true, she then wants to take it out, but still not take back the fact that she might have met with Kim Jong-un. Like, just either make the claim and stick to the claim, or abandon the claim and be done with it. You cannot both abandon the claim and claim it at the same time. You cannot do both. You cannot both be defending the fact that you met with Kim Jong-un while also retracting it from your book and issuing a correction. If you're issuing a correction, that is done when you make a mistake, like including this passage about you meeting Kim Jong-un in the book. So was it a mistake or was it not a mistake? Yeah, either you cannot, look, let me put it in a way she'll understand. You either have the dog or you eat the dog. You can't do both. You can't do both.